Oh, goddamn ads. Don't want any of that. Oh, is it up? I think I may have fixed it. Turner Jenkins, Turner and Ryan, give me a response if I fixed it. Yay! Okay, so you can see me now. It says I'm live on. I got an email from YouTube saying that my channel is now live. Okay, so what happened was I first of all, welcome. Let me do that introduction all over again. Welcome to the stream. This is the American. This is the live watch party for the American version of King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1963. The reason why this ended up being so late is because I'm using OBS to stream, and I just forgot to hit. I forgot to hit go live on the YouTube studio end. I didn't know that was a thing right now. But it looks like it's good. I think we're all good. We're all good here. I got a thumbs up, a metaphorical thumbs up from Ryan and Turner saying they could see and hear me loud and clear. All right. So to go over that, the thing I was saying to nobody earlier, this is the Japanese. This is the American version of King Kong versus Godzilla. I did a live watch party 4 years ago for the Japanese version. And this year I'm doing live watch parties for the noteworthy American versions of Godzilla movies. Godzilla King of the Monsters in May, Gigantus the Fire Monster in June. This month it's the American version of King Kong vs. Godzilla. And then in August we'll finish things off with Godzilla 1985, which you can find on YouTube. And as for this movie, it's not on any streaming service, but it is on YouTube in its entirety. If you just type in King Kong vs. Godzilla American version, you'll find the full movie on YouTube. But it looks like crap. I can't even speak straight. Let me grab some water first of all. It looks like crap and the image is kind of blown up. But if you go on Internet Archives, you can find a better looking version of the American version. But yeah, I'm watching it through the Criterion Collection Showa era set. So if you have that instead of resorting to streaming or the internet, then that's awesome. So that being said, I think we're all good. What's my favorite Godzilla shirt? There's a Godzilla vs. Kong cavity color shirt that I wear frequently, that I really love. That might be my favorite, but Cavity Colors just debuted a special 70th anniversary Godzilla shirt, which I'm going to have to pick up. But outside that, I have this, the official Toho shirt of GMK, the Godzilla 2000 design, and Jet Jaguar. So yeah, with that said, if y'all ready to go, I'm ready to go. So I'm going to pull up my PS5 controller and hit that play. Oh, really briefly, before I get started, if you hear like a faint noise in the background, I have a fan on because it is hot as hell here in Los Angeles, and I don't have AC in my building. But anyway, that's putting that aside. I got the PS5 controller in play, and I'm going to push the play button right now. Now the Criterion logo is popping up. There's a little bit of a delay. I also want to note that this is the first time I'm watching the American version since I reviewed the movie in 2018. And you know what? If y'all are playing, hold up, because Spiders Prime just entered the chat. And first of all, welcome. Since I don't have a timer set to this thing like I did with my previous series of Godzilla watch parties. We're going to hit pause and just give Spiderus a chance to get the movie set up. So I think we're all... while he gets that going, how have y'all been doing? Hope y'all are taking care of yourselves. This week's been a lot. But it's always good to do these live watch parties and just to hang out with you guys. We got 7 people watching right now. Anthony Tang, welcome to the chat. What's my favorite music video? I'm going to be basic. Smooth Criminal from Michael Jackson. Though I do love the story of how he got John Landis to direct the music video for Thriller because he thought John Landis was a horror director. I'm like, wait, you've never seen Blues Brothers or Animal House? So that's funny. Okay, I think we're all ready to go. Turner Jenkins says, fine, I've just submitted a painting into an art contest. That's awesome, huh? What is the painting, if you don't mind me asking? But anyway, we're going to try this again. We're going to hit the play button right now. Again, it's showing the Criterion logo on my end. I'll let y'all know when the Universal logo pops up, and then we can officially hit start. Universal logo. Featuring the nicest weather the Earth has ever had. Every time I see the Universal logo, I have to make that joke. What's my high school teacher's name? I don't remember. Inoshiro Honda. Yeah, they were so close. If they just didn't add those 2 extra letters in Ishiro Honda's name, they would have gotten his name down. Meanwhile, all the American crew members and cast members have their names spelled correctly. Yeah, I have issues with, once again, the nicest weather the Earth has ever had. I do have strong issues with them replacing Akira Ifukube's score with a bunch of Universal stock music, but at the very least, it's better music than what they used for Gigantus the Fire Monster. Yeah, Godzilla's going to destroy that building in a few years. Okay, full disclosure, as a kid, when I first saw this movie, I think I may have seen this movie after seeing Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I always thought that was the same character. I always thought that was Steve Martin from King of the Monsters because they look alike. And that's stock footage. That's the satellite from the Mysterians. What is your high school student's name? I'm beginning to think that... That's a weird question. I don't know. Don't think I can answer that because I don't understand it. Okay, that was interesting. That's not even like an actual TV. They just plastered a still of the Japanese version because you could see the crinkles in the photo. Do you personally believe that Godzilla is Batman while Gamera is Superman, especially of what their they are originally are? I could kind of see that. No, I am not teaching at a high school. I don't know. I don't know what these questions are. Uh, no, I'm not teaching at a high school. Anthony Artiga, welcome to the stream. Imagine what Scar King would look like in Peter Jackson's version of King Kong. Probably a little more grounded than what we ended up getting in the MonsterVerse. And of course, the berries in the American that the UN has are different than what we actually see in the actual movie. Yeah, these high school questions must be like trolling of some sort. Huh? That's I never really noticed how far that Pharaoh Island is from Japan. Okay, Anthony Tang. I'm the more questions of these you ask, the more I'm starting to convince that you might be a bot. that's a sudden shift in like let's yeah this really yeah, but we don't know what your show is because we didn't see it, unlike the unlike the Japanese version. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that they cut out of the of this version that was in the Japanese version. Like so much context that is just gone. Yeah, the reactions are just funnier in the Japanese version. So this part I actually like about the American version, where they kind of they kind of condense Godzilla's appearance into one long sequence instead of having it like cut up, and we don't see Godzilla till like a little later in the movie. My God, it's like watching Family Guy on the internet. There's hardly any context. I won't go that far, but it's clear that the themes of like commercialism and how absurd the Japanese advertising industry is long gone in this version. But I'm glad that they redubbed the crew of the Seahawk, because those American actors in the original version are awful. What's my high school's bully's name? Biff Tannen. You know, if I had the tools to like isolate the American, all the stock music they used in this version, I would like to do a cut that kind of mixes the best of this version of King Kong versus Godzilla with the Japanese version, and then just add the Ifukube score. Yeah, this sequence plays a lot better in this version, because it gets us right to what we want to see. Am I going to review the Acolyte show in the future? I have a lot of catching up to do with the Acolyte, Ahsoka. Yeah, the Acolyte, Ahsoka, She-Hulk. There are so many TV I want to try reviewing more TV shows, but they just feel more daunting than movies, because movies are like 2-3 hours long, and there's less to like cover as opposed to a TV show where it's like several hours and several seasons of shows. Captain, I see a mysterious object. What? Those of you who don't know, that's what that actual line was in the Japanese version. Yeah, this flows much smoother because it was kind of, I think the Japanese version is still superior to this, but it's so awkward that to have this big sequence spaced out. That looks gross. There's a yellow dye marker in the water around the iceberg. Let's go down and take a closer look, huh? There he is. Ah! It's Gojira! Said in the most unstunned way possible. Now, I would say, I would argue that, like, why they say the world is stunned to discover that prehistoric creatures exist in the 20th century when the world witnessed Godzilla 7 years ago, but they do kind of de-sequelify this movie, especially considering that the last one they renamed Godzilla Gigantus in America. Oh, here comes my least favorite part about this version. Said no Japanese person ever in the history of atomic weapons. Like, that irks me so much that it's like, oh yeah, the atomic bomb is being used as a possibility to get rid of Godzilla. I'm like, no Japanese person would ever make that decision. I wonder if Honda ever saw this version and if he was like, just like embarrassed that change they made to his movie. These people didn't know that Godzilla exists before. I mean, this movie kind of de-sequelifies the other two movies because, well, one, like, they in the US they were all distributed by different studios, and when Godzilla Raids Again came out to America, again Godzilla was renamed Gigantus. So I think it's just best to just go with this version in assuming that Godzilla has been hibernating in an iceberg for millions of years. That's just easier. But in the Japanese version, when I think it's Sakurai laughs at the notion of a giant monster on an island, that's a little far-fetched considering that's like Godzilla Raids Again was 7 years ago, and he sure doesn't look panicked. What? I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, your country is being attacked by Godzilla, and you're just really calm and dry about this. Yeah, all the news sequences are just so dry and contrast with the original Japanese footage. Sorry, I had to do the Mr. Taco's reaction to hearing about Godzilla. Don't worry, the Americans will never learn until Shin Godzilla, if at all. I mean, the Americans wanted to use nuclear weapons on Godzilla in that movie, and Japan had to work fast to come up with a plan to prevent that from happening. And then in Godzilla -1, the Americans were just like, yeah, we don't want any part of this, Japan. You're on your own. The context is still not as bad of how I watched The Grinch in high school one time. What's the context? I do like that they keep some of Ifukube's score, mainly on Pharaoh Island. Oh, every time I watch this movie, the natives are just still very, very problematic. And I understand, it's a different, the Japanese are probably not as sensitive as Americans are. Ooh. Oh, the blackface is just so uncomfortable. Oh, one of the sailors. I never noticed this, but one of the sailors, as they're rowing back, as they're rowing away from the island, one of them looks around and just sees the characters being taken by the natives, and then they're just like, "Oh, nope, turn around, turn around." Ooh, it's still awkward. In a math class around Christmas, the class was watching The Grinch. It played like 2 minutes from the start, and then would cut around to random parts of the movie. Interesting. It would go from start and then middle and then end and then another part halfway and then the climax at the end. Now, is this the Ron Howard Grinch? The chief is pissed. That was the whole experience. The teacher played the movie on YouTube. Oh my god. That's hysterical. So it was just a bunch of like YouTube clips played out of order. Was that it? Where somebody just uploaded the 2018 movie. Oh, so it might not be what I'm thinking, where somebody just uploaded the whole movie on YouTube, but they did it in 10-minute segments. Because that's how I watched Zoolander for the first time. I watched it on YouTube in like 10-minute segments. Right now we got one person watching. Huh. Yes, they did in 10-minute segments. That's hysterical. That's funny. All right, so it's official. The natives of Kong's Island can get along with the Japanese more than Americans. Ooh, no, do not give that kid cigarettes. I love how it's like, it's not, the mother's not even concerned with like the fact that her kid has a cigarette. Well, if he comes for y'all in the village, then everyone's in trouble. I don't play Fortnite. It's just one of these things where I'm just like, I turn into an old man where I'm like, I'm sure it's fun, but it's like, what is this Fortnite that all the kids are playing nowadays? I wonder the native that's performing like the ritual. Is that the same? Is that the innkeeper from Yojimbo? I mean, it's really hard to tell because they painted all these Japanese actors in blackface. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that song on the radio stayed in this version, considering it's a Japanese song. Okay, I can translate what Kong is saying right there. He's saying, "You dare call my people primitive savages?" Now, what is this? Is this from a movie, or is that just like B-roll of Japan in the 60s? Even though they show a boat. What? Why don't you go find your boyfriend in Hokkaido or Hokkaido? Then cut to, do not go to Hokkaido. Probably B-roll. There's that Mysterian satellite again. I did hear that the Russos are back for whatever the 5th and 6th Avengers movie are called. Like, I think 6 is still Secret Wars. I don't know if 5 is still the Kang Dynasty. But yeah, I did hear about that. No shit, huh? Sorry, like the Dr. Arnold Johnson talking about Godzilla, what he could possibly be. As in, it would do shit against Godzilla. I just overtalked the part where Dr. Arnold Johnson called Godzilla a reptile, not a reptile. Okay, there's a piece of Ifukube music when they're exploring Pharaoh Island. But funny enough, this is the music that plays during the nature show that Fumiko is watching. That got cut from this version. I love the like in this version the conversation is, "I'm tired, can we go back?" "No, shut up or I'll shoot this gun at you," because that's what the motion was like. But in the Japanese version, Sakurai's friend is catching up to tell him Godzilla's broken free of the iceberg and is at Japan. And he's like, oh, I don't believe that nonsense. Godzilla, where? Oh, yeah, this is the infamous scene with the corns. That's a rusty-looking machete. Huh! That's a fake-ass lizard. Oh yeah, there's a lot of like stock footage from the Mysterians. Like, because I think because RKO distributed the Mysterians in America, and this movie is using like the character of King Kong with RKO's permission, so that's got to be the reason why. And now here comes the stock music. Oof. Like, knowing that thing is real, especially when it's breathing, is just creepy. How far are we into this movie? Half hour into the movie, so I think this might be at the same point where the Japanese version is. Oh, the Mysterians got released by MGM. I'd never seen the American version of Mysterians, so I guess I was just talking out of my ass. Yep, Spiderus Prime speaks the truth. So, there are parts of this, like, the music here kind of fits. Again, I would prefer Ifukube's score. Because it makes this the stock music they use makes this sequence a little more intense. Although I do like, so there's a funny joke that got cut there, where when Sakurai's telling his friend, hey, there's an octopus out there. What's it called? Octopus in Japanese is taco, and that's also their boss's name. So the joke they cut out that can only work in the Japanese version is, what's Mr. Taco doing here? So I can see why they cut that out, because if they were to attempt to put that joke in the American version, it would make zero sense for us. It's still incredible how they got that octopus to just keep moving on land. And that Eiji Tsuburaya ate one of them after filming was done. And there's the Creature from the Black Lagoon music. Also, high future stock footage from Ultra Q. You're going to have to tell me what point of the movie the Ultra Q stock footage is from, because I never saw the show. There's that goofy-ass Kong suit. See, I have no problem with, like, all the stock music they use when the natives are fighting off the octopus. But it would have been nice if they brought the original score for this sequence when Kong shows up. Because Kong's theme in this movie is completely cut out of the American version. And we wouldn't hear Godzilla's theme until Mothra vs. Godzilla was released in the US. So, did they put the... Like, that's a fake octopus right there, but that other shot with the Kong puppet, did they actually put the octopus on the puppet? Because it looked like it. I bet the octopus might have been tasty. I mean, it's just like eating calamari. You can see the shadow of the rock that hits the octopus because it's clearly like the rock hitting, I'm guessing a blue screen or a rear projection of the octopus. Yeah, that suit is just all kinds of hideous. Alright, I have victory over my enemy. Now it's time to get shit-faced. It did not. I mean, it didn't, but you briefly did hear Godzilla's roar when Kong was knocking over all of those pots. So I think that was supposed to be a sound effect they wanted to use for the pots falling over, but I don't know. You briefly heard Godzilla's roar from the 1954 film. And I like how they put in the chief going shh, but he doesn't even open his mouth. I'm sorry, every time I see Kong in this movie, I can't help but laugh at just how stupid he looks. Even though this version did get rid of both Kong and Godzilla's theme, I do like how they kept the main, like, the actual main theme of the movie that you hear in the beginning. I don't remember other than it's episode 23 and Akira Kubo was in it. So, I just found this out. So, the suit actor that played Kong in this movie, Solomon Hirose, Kong has Homer Simpson's mouth. Hey, Homer, quit eating me. But anyway, the suit actor that played Kong in this movie, apparently he was, like, such a diva on set. Like, he was probably difficult to work with and didn't really take the role seriously the way Haruo Nakajima took playing Godzilla seriously. That he was basically demoted and hired to play King Ghidorah in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster and Invasion of Astro Monster, which was such a demotion because he basically just had to hold up Ghidorah's body since that thing was mostly controlled by wires. Banzai! Banzai! Yeah, there's nothing on that Japanese newspaper that that says King Kong on it. Like I recognize the katakana like characters for King Kong, and that's not on there. So I'm thinking they just made a random either they picked out a random newspaper. That's probably what they did. Oh yeah, this moment. Where they're comparing brain sizes. Yeah, Godzilla's smarter than you let on, Arnold Johnson. So wait, Godzilla showed up, attacked a self-defense force base, and then just went back to the ocean? 20,000 fathoms? Really? How does that sound in Tokyo? What the hell do you think that sounds like? You gotta wonder who made that raft, huh? Like a raft that big. Oh, look, the little. I never noticed on the ship there the little models and Taco coming out of the helicopter. There's a model also. That's the first time I've ever noticed that. The diva thing almost happened to a girl in a play I was in. This girl was such a diva. She was a minor character. Only spoke in 2 scenes, but she had main character syndrome. That's wow. Everyone behind the scenes was talking trash about her. Yeah, that's some strong ego right there. I still like the noise. I still like the screams that they both make when Taco almost hits the dynamite again. You're Kong. Yeah, we have zero context to anything like involving Mr. Taco's show, the advertising agency. It's bizarre. Yeah, in the Japanese version, rather than them saying, if these orders are not met, you will be placed under arrest. In the Japanese version, it's if you don't comply, you will be responsible for all damage Kong commits. Yeah, this version, it's your airplane crashed. Oh, I missed it. I was working. And then the Japanese version, it's, but your boat sunk. It did? I just got off it. I mean, they're in Tokyo. Isn't Hokkaido? Isn't Hokkaido like far from Tokyo? Yeah, I think like Kong a Menace. Who wrote this? J. Jonah Jameson. Well, yeah, if Godzilla's in Hokkaido, and yeah, right there. Okay, so I was right. Like, Godzilla's like. Okay, so the Soviets, the British, and the Americans are apparently told to go to Japan and help them out with Godzilla, and yet they don't show up at all. That still irks me that they decided to write in this subplot about using the atom bomb on Godzilla when, like, that's such an American thing that they do. I still love this design of Godzilla. I may have said that several times, but this one has always just been... It's goofier, sure, but it doesn't look ugly in the way Kong does in this movie. Okay, one thing I never understood, even in the Japanese version, is who is the little girl that Fumiko is with? Like, is she traveling with a friend, or... I don't understand that. Okay, when you look at Godzilla, this Godzilla straight on, in profile, he doesn't look all that good. Like, it's more when you see him on the side where he looks pretty cool. Now, I know they used the Wolfman music in this movie, but it's been a while since I've seen that, so I don't know. Is this the Wolfman, or is this another movie? Because I know this isn't Creature from Black Lagoon. Luckily, nobody was in that train. Screw you, old man. So again, I have to bring this up. Like, in this version, the old man was asking Fujita for a ride to get away from Godzilla. What they cut out of this version is that Fujita was once again asking, how many more people are back there? And the old man says, just one girl. Scream that rivals any Scream Queen. I guess. You could be sarcastic, but maybe. Because in the Japanese version, it's just a screech. And I don't mean that as, like, in an insensitive way. It's just like a... It's not a long scream, like in this version. Meanwhile, in the ocean, with these model people... the umbrella! Like, you see, if you see the back of the ship... like, when it cuts to the back, the waves hitting the back of the ship, you could see a tiny little model of Mr. Taco already holding the umbrella. Is that a, hold up, the background there, when the friend was talking about, like, you don't care about us, all you care about is publicity. That looked like a backdrop, or like a curtain they put on the background. Or maybe I'm just looking too much into this. Okay, I think they just inserted a random lion roar for Kong. So, last year, at my work's Halloween party, we were watching Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I can never watch that movie and hear this music without thinking about King Kong versus Godzilla. It's so funny that this version, like, they write in that Godzilla and Kong have an ancient rivalry, when the original Japanese version, it was just a coincidence that these two monsters were facing each other. And then they took that ancient rivalry concept for the Monsterverse. Gilman is mad. Yes, Spiders Prime. Are we talking about a real lion roar or a Lion King roar? I think they're the same thing. Oh yeah, another theme. And like, we're at this point in the movie where Godzilla and Kong are facing each other for the first time. What's insane to me is that the theme used for the battle theme in this movie would later be rearranged to be the like UFO Futurian theme from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and that was, I think, for us Americans, that was the first time we ever heard that piece of music. The so when I finally saw the Japanese version of this movie and heard that music in this film, I was like, wait a minute. So that music has existed since the 60s and we never knew about it? Huh. Well, I mean, like, come on. If we were in Kong's position, I think we'd cower at this giant, like, nuclear lizard spraying radiation at us. Godzilla's just so gleeful in this movie. Just with his, like, clapping, or I assume it's clapping, because I'm not sure if Haruo Nakajima was able to, like, touch his hands in that suit. Okay, I think that's something they added for this version, the poison gas. This was always a clever idea. Like, we're gonna try to bury Godzilla. But he's right there. What do you mean he'll be here by night? You literally see him through a pair of binoculars. He's not far by. Dynamite. Dynamite. Well, Lion King is like a mix between a tiger, bear, an F-22 flyby, and Frank Welker making lion sounds in a trash can. Really? They use that to sound more cool. I did not know that. Okay, that's a compositing shot. I mean, I figured it had to have been a compositing shot because there's no way they'd actually light that entire, all the body of water for real. But it only took me now to realize that. Or at least more on the first shot. The second shot was more obvious. Man, Godzilla's eyes are very yellow in this movie. Whoop! Okay, I think that was stock footage from the Mysterians. Really briefly. Dynamite. Are we playing Spider-Man on the PS1? Spider-Man on the PS1? Is that a major element in that Spider-Man game? I didn't own a PS1. And pissed. It didn't look like he moved away from the high tension wires. All right, and that's the last we will ever see of all that new footage until the end of the movie. And I honestly couldn't be more grateful. If this movie wasn't de-sequelified from the first two, then I'd say no, it wouldn't work. Well, no, because the same thing happened in the Japanese version. Because I was going to say, we saw in Godzilla, both versions of the original film, that he just went through those electrical blockades like they were nothing. I guess if I were to give any explanation for why Godzilla is like shoot away from these wires instead of the first movie, because I think they said that this is 1 million volts of electricity, whereas the first movie it was only 300,000. So I guess I could give them a pass that like Godzilla can tolerate 300,000 volts of electricity, but not a million. And there he is with his very elongated arms. Okay, this evacuation scene here, like, you could tell the footage here is, like, a little more grainy, and the exposure is high. So, if I remember correctly, I think that's footage from the Mysterians. Yeah, even with the excuse I tried to make of why Godzilla's scared of the electrical towers in this version, it is kind of silly and stupid considering that he didn't have a problem with them in the first movie. And of course, the only reason Kong grows stronger from electricity is because this was... No, because Godzilla replaced Frankenstein, but I guess they just gave Kong Frankenstein's ability to be re-energized by lightning. Ugh. How are you going to evacuate the entire country? I don't know. This whole atom bomb thing, like Turner Jenkins, in the way that you're pissed off at Godzilla being scared by the electrical towers in this movie, it still pisses me off in this version, the whole thing with the nuclear bomb. The little Kong puppet. That's amusing. Okay, so both monsters got to attack a train in this movie. Except all these people are super unfortunate. Yeah, everyone just straight up died there. Of course, it wouldn't... Well, let me rephrase this. It wouldn't be a pre-Monsterverse movie if Kong didn't hold a woman in his hand. The Kong puppet is funny like the Godzilla puppet in 1954. Or the Godzilla puppet in this movie. Because there's a shot later on when it's clearly just the creative force. Where it's clearly just the special effects team bashing the two puppets together. You know, there's a lot of shots in this movie of the tanks rolling by that's later used in King Kong Escapes. I find it really interesting that this movie, like, they did a lot of like re-edits in this movie. Like, they shot new footage, they put in new music, and yet when it came to King Kong versus Godzilla, they just cut a few stuff out and did a simple dub and left the entire movie intact when it got exported to America. -1 or Avengers Endgame? I mean, both movies are amazing, but I mean, for different reasons. And they're different. I might have to say -1. Have I ever been to G-Fest? No, I actually wanted to go this year. But I was heading to, what's it called? I've been doing a lot of traveling this year. Oh, that part where Kenji Sahara is demanding Kong put down Fumiko. I'm sad that they cut out the part where he goes, Fumiko! Fumiko! But no, G-Fest. I wanted to go this year because it was Godzilla's 70th anniversary, but I've just been doing a lot of traveling this year. I had to travel to San Antonio twice this year because I lost both my grandfathers within a 4-month within a 4-month period. And I was heading to in April I went to Guatemala for a friend's wedding, and that kind of was my big like vacation style trip. But no, one day I'd love to go to G-Fest. I'd love to go to G-Fest and do a vlog about it on my theme park and travel channel. Now, personally, not only would I like to go to G-Fest, but I would like to do some sort of like Godzilla panel, because I know there were a couple of years where they did like a panel full of Godzilla YouTubers, and even though my channel's not exactly like Godzilla centric, Godzilla is certainly the most popular thing I talk about in this channel. So I would love to do some sort of panel at G-Fest at one point. Thank you, Turner Jenkins. No, yeah, I lost both. If you follow me on Instagram, you might already know this, but I lost both my grandfathers this year. The grandfather on my dad's side was kind of expected, but then the grandfather on my mom's side was a total shock. But thank you, Turner Jenkins and Ryan Zerniak. I think G-Fest is usually in Chicago. And I believe it is in Chicago this year. Yeah, it's in Chicago. It was last weekend. I'll try to make it an effort to go next year. It is so funny, like, just looking at this Kong. It's like, is he getting drunk off the berry juice, or is he just always drunk? And I never noticed how red Kong's cheeks were, or at least for the suit. Yeah, there's some red in his cheeks. And there's the little Fumiko puppet. Yeah, really, that one shot where Fujita rescues Fumiko really does paint in perspective how much bigger this Kong is compared to the original. The woman isn't even a puppet. That's a Barbie doll. Yeah. Well, although I don't think... Barbies are pretty big. So, that could... You're probably being sarcastic, and I do appreciate that. But, I don't think... Yeah, Barbie dolls are too big. So that must have been just a simple puppet that... Or a little doll that the crew put together. Yeah, yeah, Ryan, I'm watching this. It's like there's a lot in this movie that irritates me, like the loss of Ifukube's score, um, the whole atomic bomb nonsense, and the UN scenes are just dry as hell. But this isn't as bad as I remember. Um, like it's no Gigantus the fire monster. Although this music is good here, but the music that Ifukube scored for this sequence was so good that I'm just like, why was this cut out? Whatever. And the little animated soldiers on top of Kong. Balloons. Are we getting a prequel to Up? Not quite. But I will say this. So, I think I don't remember if I said this earlier in the stream. Or maybe I did. I can't remember if I said this earlier in the stream or if I said it in the part where I thought I was live, but I actually wasn't. But, this is the first time I'm watching either version of this movie after Godzilla vs. Kong and after GXK came out. And I find it so funny that the plan to airlift Kong is used in Godzilla vs. Kong. I find that hysterical. Okay, so now this begs the question that I'm going to ask all of you in the chat. Which do you prefer? King Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong? Because for me, it's I still prefer the Japanese version of King Kong versus Godzilla to Godzilla vs. Kong, but I prefer Godzilla vs. Kong to this version of King Kong vs. Godzilla. It might be cheating, but I think the Japanese version of King Kong vs. Godzilla is just a little more clever than Godzilla vs. Kong, even though those two are vastly different. All right, maybe not vastly different. Like it's not like comparing -1 to GXK, where both movies are so different. That yeah, where both movies are so different that you can't compare. Probably a dumb question, but could the music been a copyright thing? Maybe that's why they cut it out. I don't think so, because they kept Ifukube's score in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and some of his music is featured in this version of the movie. And again, when Universal distributed King Kong Escapes in the US, they didn't replace Ifukube's score at all. So I don't think that's the case. I think it's just they were trying to make the movie more. My guess probably they didn't think that Ifukube's score like flowed well with certain scenes, so maybe they just decided to replace the music. That's just my guess, but I don't think it's a copyright issue, because like, how could you not have the rights to the music that are in the movie that you have the rights to distribute? There's a puppet Godzilla. Oh no, that's I think that, yeah, that's a wind up. That has to be a wind up puppet of Godzilla, which, unlike the wind up puppet in Godzilla Raids Again, this one actually moved. Like Godzilla's just rolled up in a ball. So we have 10 minutes of the movie left. And, I mean, the Japanese version is still more entertaining, but yeah, if you've never watched the Japanese version, this sequence coming up is why you watch this movie. Those arms, like they're two. I think they're two different Kong suits. That one there, oh, he looks so bad. That one there, where his arms are just like longer than normal, and it's clear that the hands don't close. And then there's the suit where the hands actually do close. Yeah, so those are two different suits, because the arms are different. I think that they used the lion roar again for Kong when he grabbed Godzilla's tail. That rock hit Godzilla right in the neck, which is where Nakajima's head is. So Nakajima is such a trooper that he takes rocks to the face when filming these movies. I did kind of wish they didn't cut out the shot where Kong kicks a rock at Godzilla. Man, I miss the hype for Godzilla vs. Kong. I remember buying everyone I worked with a Team Godzilla or Team Kong shirt. That's really cool. No, I did miss the hype for that movie. I mean, that movie came out at such a weird time. Like when it was because it was supposed to come out in November of 2020, but obviously it got delayed due to the pandemic. It got delayed to May of 2021, and then it got moved up to that like slant, that banging noise that they added for this version when Kong gives himself a concussion, that hurts. Yeah, I think Godzilla's supposed to be clapping there. But anyway, when they announced that Godzilla vs. Kong was being moved up from May 2021 to March 2021, one side of me was like, yay, we get to see this movie earlier. But then another side of me was like, we don't have a trailer for this movie. It's only 2 months away. Congratulations, Warner Brothers and Legendary. You just killed the MonsterVerse, because King of the Monsters underperformed, and you pushing this movie up with not much time to promote it means it's going to bomb. I was so grateful to be wrong in that aspect, because, yeah, the movie was a hit, and thankfully the MonsterVerse continued. Oh, here comes the brief stop-motion segment. I had to use that shot for the thumbnail of this live stream. Godzilla really does have those owl-looking eyes. Huh? Yeah, I never really thought about that. Those are kind of owl eyes. Now, I wonder if, like, Solomon Hirose's eyes, are they... Is his entire... Like, are his eyes hidden? Because I know the story for, for War of the Gargantuas, that's the only role where Haruo Nakajima's own eyes are shown. Same thing goes for the suit actor that played Sanda, because Nakajima played Gaira. But are Kong's eyes, like, artificial? Like, I don't think... Yeah, I think they are. They're not, the actual suit actor's eyes. They really did love to use this, the Creature from the Black Lagoon theme. So I wonder what that shot when Kong flings Godzilla around. I wonder if Nakajima was actually in the Godzilla suit. Because he's actually in the suit when Kong throws Godzilla over his shoulder. Oh, here comes the tree. Which, again, like with the airlifting Kong sequence, I love how this was included in Godzilla vs. Kong, but instead of a tree, it's the battle axe. That was always a cool moment when Godzilla was breathing his atomic breath with the tree inside his mouth. But, and it's just, it instantly catches fire and he spits it out. That was always a badass moment. And there's the two puppets. Yeah, this part of the movie where like there's silence, like this part, Kong's rampage through Tokyo and Godzilla's attack on the base. Like there's no music in either of those sequences in this version, but there is music in the Japanese version, and I think these scenes should have kept the Ifukube score. But then again, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, that's what the Japanese version's for. So that's 2 movies in a row where Godzilla, were one of those, like, castles that are destroyed. These puppets are totally not like the Dark Crystal. No, they are not. And here comes stock footage from the Mysterians to make the earthquake seem that more destructive. I don't know why that's in here, but wow, they really decided to take it an extra level where Godzilla and Kong just plunge into the ocean. It shouldn't have resulted in that much damage. Yep, there's Kong. And every American audience, prior to the internet, every American audience member was like, man, I can't wait to see the Japanese version and see the ending where Godzilla wins. English version produced by John Beck. And that's the end. Yeah, this version wasn't as bad as I remember. Again, I will still take the Japanese version over this any day of the week. But it's not as, I don't think it's as good of Americanization as Godzilla King of the Monsters was, but it's serviceable. Considering that the only, like, legal way to see the Japanese version is buying this Criterion set. Like, this is a fine alternative, I guess. I still would like more people to watch the Japanese version. Yeah, it was fun. Could you do reviews of Jim Henson movies? Yeah, I mean, I'm always down to do retro reviews of any kind, really. It's just a matter of when. Okay, Turner Jenkins, I just noticed that you wrote down Earthshake. Is that a reference to Land Before Time? Because I caught that. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining. This was the American version of King Kong vs. Godzilla. Yeah, the box set, I'm not sure how much it's going for right now. And I have no idea where my phone went. Where's my phone? Oh, I'm like on Wii right now. Where is my phone? Oh, there it is. It's hidden behind my popcorn bag. That's embarrassing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Tune in next month, where I'll be doing a live watch party for the American version of The Return of Godzilla, Godzilla 1985, which, funny enough, is going to be my, like, I guess my in memoriam to not only Kenpachiro Satsuma, the suit actor who played Hedorah, Gigan, and Godzilla throughout the Heisei era, but it's also my in memoriam stream for Roger Corman, because his production company New World Pictures distributed Godzilla 1985. So that'll be a 2-for-1 next month. So unfortunately, this also means that this series of live watch parties will be ending because I don't see any reason to do live watch parties for other Americanized versions of Godzilla movies. Like, Godzilla vs. the Thing is not that different from the Japanese version outside of the Frontier missile sequence, which was not in the Japanese version. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, which is the American version of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Yeah, there's not enough that warrants doing a live watch party for it. Same thing goes for Monster Zero. And in regards to the Japanese version of Godzilla 2000, I could make that an exception, but I don't think there's enough that really warrants, like, doing a separate stream for that, considering that the American version is superior to the Japanese version of Godzilla 2000. So, yeah, next month it's going to be Godzilla 1985, ending this series of live watch parties, but I will make an announcement for another series of live watch parties that I plan to do for next year. Turner Jenkins asked, hey, what is that 70th anniversary Godzilla shirt? I will put a link for it in the chat. There you go. It's from Cavity Colors' Godzilla Legacy Collection. I think it's available for pre-order right now, so it's not officially released. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. If you want to help support the channel even more, you could do so via YouTube memberships. Right now, it's just the starter pack tier. You get early access to all of my videos, but starting next week, I will put out a monthly series of exclusive member-only videos. And if you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you could do so on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube, Alexander Robinson Travel Channel, more specifically. So I'll see you guys in the next video or the next live stream. Until then, have a good day, and take care of yourselves.